Hello, Facebook friends. Happy Tuesday and welcome to Beneath the Surface, Purpose, Passion, and Focus, live, sponsored by FASTSIGNS here of Daytona Beach. And my friend today is Will Roberts, 2020 candidate for tax collector. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much for having me. It's a privilege and an honor.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me. This is an exciting seat to be talking about. So a little bit about the tax collector seat. This is the first time in 50 years that Volusia County will have a tax collector. So it was voted in 2018 that all constitutional offices will be elected in the state. And of course, that includes Volusia County. And give me a little bit of information first on you, Will. Just tell me a little bit about your involvement here and what you do.
Yes, absolutely. So I've lived here in Volusia County for 20 years. I served 7 years in the United States Air Force, and I got out of the Air Force, finished my degree, and I've been here ever since. I actually finished all my higher education right here in Volusia County. I got my AA from Daytona State College. I got my bachelor's degree from UCF. And then I got my master's degree in Nova Southeastern University in a cluster right here that we were created here in Volusia County through the Volusia County, through the County of Volusia employees group. And so I've lived here for 20 years. I'm married to my wife. We've been married just over 18 years as of last month.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And we have 2 children. My daughter is 14, Carlina, and my son is 11, Eldon. So we've been here in the community. I've worked for Volusia County for actually over 16 years. I actually started in September 2004, and I've done more than 7 years as a corrections officer, both here in Volusia County and Seminole County. And then I have served more than 7 years in the revenue division, which mostly will be translated over transitioned over to the tax collector's office. So I have more than 7 years experience in the actual tax collector's office.
So currently, right now, because of course, it's not been a seat that was elected, it was under the county managers, under revenue.
Correct. Yeah, it's been the revenue division, and it's been an appointed county employee since we had our home rule charter. There was a specific paragraph actually in there that abolished the elected tax collector position. So since that point, it's been an appointed county employee, and the county actually used the home rule charter as a umbrella and put a lot of the constitutional officers, what would have been constitutional officers at that time, they made them under their umbrella, and so therefore they've had a collaboration of service under that home rule charter, it served its purpose. It was a very good process, but the voters spoke on Amendment 10 in 2018. More than 50% of the Volusia County voters and more than 60% of the statewide voters voted Amendment 10 in, and that requires now that we have 5 elected constitutional officers, tax collector one of them.
Gotcha. So just to educate our listeners, our watchers here on our friends on Facebook Live, what exactly will that role entail? What will you be doing as tax collector if elected?
Yeah, absolutely. And so our main responsibility is property tax. And that's what I'm the lead of right now. My responsibility is the property tax lead. We're responsible for more than $680 million in revenue annually for billing and collecting and then distributing that to the appropriate taxing and levying authorities. Now, we also, right now, we're in charge of tourist development tax, which that's been a hot topic lately, and then the business tax receipt, which has actually gotten a little bit of traction as well lately. And then we, as a elected constitutional officer, the state will mandate driver's licenses to us, and we will be responsible for taking over those. And then we will have the option of taking over birth certificates and concealed weapons permits. And my plan is to take on those services because I believe in the whole collaboration of services and providing as many services as we possibly can under one roof, so you can go to one location and get all your stuff done. So you can come to one of our offices, get your driver's license, get your pay your tags, and get your title, and pay your property tax. So we're looking forward to providing that service.
So an elected tax collector position, how does that benefit Volusia County citizens?
Better customer service. You know, right now you have to go elsewhere to get your driver's license, and you cannot go anywhere in the county of Volusia and get your concealed weapons permit. Now you can go to the State Department and get the Department of Health, and you can get your birth certificates anytime you need those. But again, it's a convenience of services that we'll be able to provide, and giving that information and ability for people to come under one roof and get all those services done under that one roof will benefit the citizens, the residents, and the taxpayers of Volusia County.
So you have one opponent in this race.
Correct.
It will be on the primary ballot.
Correct.
On August 18th. Early voting has already opened, or we've already opened, so
right.
You can vote on or before
right.
August 18th. Tell me why you. Why I see that Amanda Sarn says that your wife is the best to ask why you are the best candidate for the job, but you tell me why.
Well, yes, and it's been great, this whole process, because as I've been out getting petitions, I've been learning that a lot of people don't understand the tax collector's office a whole lot. And one of the things that my wife and I have been doing is Tax Tip Tuesday. Every Tuesday, we've been uploading a video to Facebook, and it's an informational post and a video about the process that's going on in the tax collector's office. And it's an attempt to educate and inform the public about what's going on in the tax collector's office, because a lot of people just don't understand the process. And that's the biggest thing about educating the public, is letting them know about the process so they can make a better educated decision on when to pay their taxes and how to pay their taxes. Because they're, just in property tax alone, there's like 3 different ways you can pay your property taxes. There's an installment plan that you can pay on installments like 4 different times a year rather than one all at one time. And then there's the annual bill, which is actually the usual way that most people pay their bill, through the annual billing. And then there's a partial payment plan that you can come in and pay. Now, we don't usually advertise that a lot because it's not as convenient, it's not as efficient for property owners, but it is available. We have about 150 to 180 people do that every year. But here's the thing. We're going to need somebody with experience in this position. There is so much work that's going to need to be done over the next less than 6 months. It's going to be less than 6 months by the time August 18th rolls around. And we're going to need somebody that's going to be able to hit the ground running day one, August 19th, get in there, start working on the transition. Because, for instance, all the contracts right now are with the county. And because we're coming out from underneath the umbrella of the county, all those contracts have to be renegotiated. And
Wow.
it has to be negotiated by somebody that knows the customer service expectation of all those contracts. So vendors and anybody that we have a contract with, it will be helpful to have that knowledge up front and being able to logically review the contracts and go over them. Because I've got relationships with all those vendors right now. We do business with them all the time. The other stakeholders throughout Volusia County is, the taxpayers, the residents, the citizens. But it's also the other constitutional officers that will have to deal with the tax collector's office, specifically the property appraiser's office. They'll deal with us the most because they're the ones that give us the information for billing and collecting property tax. So we pass information back and forth between each other all the time. So that has to be a good relationship, and we have to have somebody in this position that knows what they're doing when they're talking to the property appraiser. And then we also have a relationship with the clerk of the court because they work with our tax deed sale, and we're the ones that are responsible for taking the tax deed application. So it's just too important of a position. I'll give it to you this way. Seminole County elected a tax collector that didn't have tax collection experience. He spent $3.5 million and trying to learn how to do his job. And part of that was he was hiring his friends and family, and we just can't have that. We don't need that here in Volusia County. We don't have, we're building it from the ground up. We need somebody in this position that has tax collection experience.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that, like I said, I'm relatively new to Volusia County. So I was in Orange County. We do elect that role. So I understand a little bit more about what that role does. And one of the things that I guess as a passionate voter, I would say, I definitely do my research, right? So I understand what each one of these roles does.
Right.
Oftentimes you'll see these constitutional roles, and our judges, there's just not enough, or people feel like they don't understand enough. Sometimes it's the programs are super outdated, so they don't really know how to get online and do all this stuff. And you said you guys were doing like tips on Tuesday. Is that something that you would continue to do into being elected, to continue to educate people on that, what that role looks like, what the responsibility looks like, so that there will be a time where you'll have somebody that will succeed you? That way there's like an accountability of what that role should look like. In my opinion, and the reason you're on with me today is because I do feel like you're the most qualified for this job. So today on my ballot, that's who on my sample ballot who I've selected. And it just makes sense because the information to implement this role is invaluable.
Right.
So just for my friends, they know this is my guy on my ballot, but it's for that reason. And as a voter, it's important to me that my friends, when they ask me, what do they do? That I can say, well, you should follow him online, or you should go to the tax collector's website and get information so that they can truly understand what this role means. Is that something that you would implement? Because I've seen some other counties, and it is very hard to understand outside of property tax what the role, what it does.
Right, absolutely, and that's one thing that I'm looking forward to is being able to provide that information, and definitely I want to keep pushing information, keep educating the public. I definitely find value in giving more information and being as transparent as possible, so that the general public can look at my website and understand the process and know what they need to get done to pay their taxes and pay them efficiently and effectively and as smoothly as possible. And we want to provide the best possible customer service that we can possibly provide. Absolutely. And that's one of the things that's great about coming out from underneath the umbrella of the county, is that we'll have control over that information, because right now we have information out there, but it's of course combined with the county. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to find out there, because you have to go to the county website first, and then you have to go to the specific revenue division. And if you don't know the terminology, because like 64 of the 67 counties in the state of Florida have a tax collector, but it's described as revenue division here. So you have to find the revenue division. And then the other thing is that we don't have 100% control over that. We have to go through the county and the county information department and, publish the different things through them. So it takes a little bit more time, a little bit more effort. and sometimes we don't get the information out there as fast as we possibly can. So that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to, is being able to have control over that public information and providing that, and being able to get it out there fast and quick, and letting the citizens and the residents and taxpayers know about the process.
When you guys collect the money from the tax collector's office, what happens next? What are the other responsibilities? How does that work, and how will that work?
Okay, so I'll give the example of property tax, because that's what I'm most familiar with. Mm-hmm. What we do is, when we bill it and collect it, so just to let you know, the process about billing and collecting it is a long process. We have a lot of things going on each month that we're trying to get ready for the next mailing. So as I mentioned about the installments, we're getting ready for our September installment to go out this month. So we have to start that 2 or 3 weeks early. Now when we get to the annual billing, which is a huge undertaking for us, it's we send out approximately 275,000 bills. So it takes a lot of time and effort and ability to get all that sorted out, because we get a whole lot of information from the property appraiser's office every year. We've got 300,000 something parcels throughout Volusia County for property tax. So it takes a lot of effort to get that done. When we bill it and collect it, so we send out the bill, we get the money, we have specific rules and regulations on how we distribute it. So and the other thing that we're going to have the opportunity to do that we don't right now is we're going to have to invest it, and the Florida statute is very specific about how we invest it. It's very specific about how it has to be safe and secure and completely accessible. So we will invest that money for the short time that we have, because we have certain times that we have to distribute. And that is statute bound as well. We have to follow the statute on that. But then we distribute it. And I'll tell you, for the 2019 tax year, we had 47 taxing authorities and 171 levying authorities. So we have to make sure that it gets everything to them correctly, timely, so that they can operate their budgets. So specifically, like the county and the cities depend on us to make sure that we get the information to them and the money to them in a timely manner, and we get it to them correctly.
In the midst of COVID-19, I feel like we've kind of been rushed into a direction that we were already going as far as technology goes. I mean, you're starting to see more of this one-on-one opportunities, which now just really allows us to reach a larger market, right? I know you said going to the website, you have to go to the revenues department.
Right.
Do you feel like the actual site is outdated, and do you feel like it needs an upgrade? Where's your position on that, and what would it take to do that?
Well, and here's the thing. So we're under the umbrella of the county. So we are tied to the county right now. When we become our own office, we're going to have our own website. So it's going to be a lot simpler, a lot easier just to pull up our information and go I've seen some of the tax collectors around the area, and they're very specific about, you pay your property tax, go to this button, pay your business tax receipt, go to this button, pay your tourist development tax, go to this button. So I'm definitely looking forward to being able to provide that, because right now it's a little lengthy process to try to find it. If you find it, because I'm the one that deals with a lot of the emails that come into our office and to our general email. And we get a lot of people from we get a feedback from the main site, and they do say, well, I couldn't find how to pay my property taxes. We get that a lot, actually. But what I'm looking forward to is having my own site and being able to provide that information directly. So when you Google search Volusia County Tax Collector, it's going to come up with the Volusia County Tax Collector website, and you're going to be able to get on there fast and quickly and conveniently, and be able to pull up the appropriate information much quicker and much less more clicks is the best way I can describe it. So, the less clicks, the better.
Absolutely. So August 18th will be the election. This particular role will start immediately after this election.
So I wouldn't officially take office until January 5th, but we have to start working immediately because there's so much work to get done for the transition. Yeah, I would want to start August 19th and get right in the door and get working immediately.
Gotcha. So I know you're very involved you go to chamber events, you're involved in our community. And actually that's where I originally met you. And then I met you at a Republican Party. I want to say maybe it was the Christmas something, maybe.
Yes.
It was something.
Right.
And so obviously during the campaign process, we see a lot of candidates, elected officials kind of come back out and mingle. Right. And to me, it's super important. I'm a big chamber girl. I sit on the board at the regional chamber. I'm involved in my chamber. And I think that's where all of our elected officials should be. It's where all our community leaders should be.
Right.
So how do you continue to build the relationships that you're building now on the campaign trail, versus working in the county office where maybe that wasn't the day-to-day? Have you seen a benefit in that other than just votes? And how do you continue to stay down that path once you're elected?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. I'm disappointed in elected officials that get started in something like that, and then as soon as they're elected, they drop off. Mm-hmm. And I don't plan to do that. I plan to stay community involved. I'm a member of the Rotary. I'm an active member of my church. I look forward to those things and those service opportunities. And it's so important nowadays to keep out there and keep going and keeping up that community information and community outreach. And actually, that's one of the things that I get to do as an elected tax collector. I get to have a community outreach division, which is going to be awesome because we get to do all kinds of fun stuff with the state. There's a kids art for tags and stuff like that we get to be a part of. That as a county employee, that's just not as an option, because we've got merit rules and regulations that we have to follow, and that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to is being able to be a part of the community outreach and being part of the community as the tax collector, and showing people that elected officials can be good customer service friendly people and being out and being a part of the community.
Absolutely. Give me, I don't want to talk too much about your opponent, but for most people that will see the ballot, they will recognize the name. He is a state representative in District 57?
27.
27.
Right.
I'm working on it.
Oh yeah, no, it's good.
It's my first Volusia County election.
Hey, you're doing good.
So he's a state representative. He has served his 8 years. He is termed out and now looking for another position in the political world, which is the way I see it. Are you okay with me talking about campaign finances and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely.
And when we look at the campaign finances and what's been brought in, and yours is grassroots. It's the people. It is Volusia County, right? Those are your supporters. It's the neighbor, it's the business owner, right? And you see that a lot of his contributors to his campaign are
political action committees and special interests outside of Volusia County.
Yeah, treading lightly.
Right.
So big interest kind of stuff. So how do you to me, it's obvious, right? So I've done the research, the experience, and then I look at that. And yeah, sometimes PACs do support the right person. But I tell people all the time, don't go just by an endorsement. Hey, I like this person and they endorsed, because you don't know what's happening on the back end. You don't know if that's the person's neighbor, if their kid babysits their kid. Like, it's just the truth. So I like that yours is Volusia County. Volusia County is supporting you, and there's a reason for that.
Right.
So how do you tackle that? Do people ask that question? Do they notice it? Do they and what's your response?
Right. And I don't really get a whole lot of questions about that, but I will say this. So 80% of my contributions come from Volusia County residents, business owners, people that I have reached out and known for years right here in Volusia County. And the 20% actually is from good friends and family members that are outside of Volusia County, and some of them actually moved out of Volusia County. But it's, when you look at my opponent, he's got 97% of his contributors are from political action committees, which are his political buddies in Tallahassee, and then special interest, which is one family in South Florida that owns the 3 private tag agencies here in Volusia County that want to do business with the tax collector's office. And I've actually been approached by people, that were interested in donating to my campaign, but I told them no, thank you, because it wasn't the right thing to do. I didn't think it was the ethical thing to do, because they potentially could have had a contract with the tax collector's office in the future. So it's just about being, he mentions that it was due to COVID that he didn't ask for his local supporters to contribute to his campaign. But the fact is, he had more than $20,000 after he filed in December by mid-January from those political action committees and special interests.
Wow. So to me, I mean, that speaks volumes. It just, I was very, very, very involved in the community where I moved from in local politics. I loved volunteering. I love judicial candidates, because I felt like it was the best way to get involved. And the more I got involved, is why I look at those things and go like, wow, like these are the guys that really matter, or that really care. Are usually people that are supported by their community. And a lot of the times, not that they don't get elected, but people are not sure, and it's because of some of those endorsements. So I tell people all the time, like I said, make sure to fact check and make sure to check out those endorsements and really see who's qualified for the job. It's so great that we can get that information from these particular seats where we can't for judicial races. They're nonpartisan races. There's canon laws. There's all this stuff that limits us from really knowing where people stand. So again, I just think you're the guy for the job. So I'll say that again, just in case someone catches us.
Right.
Is catching us a little late. Tell me, because we are wrapping up here soon, but tell me, when you think of this role and your opponent, what are the things that are the obvious, this is me, this is why me versus him?
Right. And that's the thing. So I'll try to do it the best I can. So I already work for you. So that's the big thing right there. I've already got the experience. I don't have to, I don't have to do any on the job training. So, and the fact that I've gotten most of my campaign contributions from people right here in Volusia County is a great reason to understand that I will work for you. I'm not beholden to anybody. So, and I'm an effective leader. I have the respect of the revenue team, and they know me, and they know I'm qualified to do this job. And I've built relationships with the county leaders, the Florida Department of Revenue, the Florida Department of Highway and Safety and Motor Vehicles, which deals with driver's licenses right now in Volusia County, and as well as advice. I've been given advice and support from tax collectors throughout the state of Florida. And then he says he will work for you, but as we mentioned, 97% of his contributions came outside of Volusia County. I don't see that as he is willing to work for the citizens of Volusia County. And he mentioned that he didn't ask because of COVID. Again, he had more than $20,000 by mid-January, a month after he had filed. He says he's got the business skills that make him qualified for the job. The fact is that he went delinquent on his property taxes for 3 years in a row, from 2005 to 2007, and he was also foreclosed upon. The foreclosure didn't go all the way through. It was a deed in lieu of foreclosure. So semantics, he was foreclosed upon. He says he's going to be an effective leader, but again, he's got to do on-the-job training. He says the word evaluate a lot, meaning and that's code for he has to do on-the-job training because he doesn't have the experience. And then he says he's got the relationships to do this transition smoothly, but again, he doesn't know. He's been quoted in the paper that the Florida Department of Transportation deals with driver's licenses. That's totally incorrect. It is the Florida Department of Highway and Safety Motor Vehicles. So it's just one of those things. We just don't have the time to do the on-the-job training. It's going to be so important to be building this new organization from the ground up. We need somebody in this position with experience, and that's me.
Is there, I'm asking this because I truly do not know the answer, but do we know what it's going to cost to implement this role? Right.
And actually, I was talking last night about this. This was, we currently have about $3.5 million budget for the revenue division this year. I would bet that it's going to cost about twice that, because we're coming out from underneath the county umbrella. So the services that we were getting for free, like IT, HR, accounting, facilities, those will all now be line items that the tax collector is going to be paying for. So it's going to be a shift. Basically, we're going to no longer have the free service, so we're going to have to line item pay for it. So it's just going to be a huge shift, is what, the burden is going to shift from the county to the tax collector's office for that payment. So I anticipate maybe doubling the current operation budget. So it's probably going to vary up or down. It depends on the first year and what it takes to get everything from the ground up going, but hopefully we'll be able to, and that's the thing about me. I'm used to doing more with less. All my experience in the military, I was doing more with less. In corrections, more with less. In the revenue division, I've done more with less, because as a county government office, we have things that we want to get in the budget to make it a better customer service friendly place, but we don't always get that because of financial constraints. So we've always had to do more with less, and that's my platform. I'm going to be fiscally conservative as possible in this office. I'm not going to spend taxpayer money unwisely.
And I mean, $7 million budget, I'm not sure, but that is not the kind of money that we need to spend to train somebody to do the job.
Exactly.
It's that simple. It is really that simple. So, where I would say sometimes like city commission or whatever, and they haven't had the experience, and you're like, well, there's a little bit of training that goes involved with that. There's some lingo, and I've heard people kind of talk a little bit about that, This is a new role. this is like you said, it could be up to $7 million expense that needs to be implemented correctly.
Right.
So the person with experience is definitely the person to go with here. So let's take the campaign hat off and let's talk a little bit about my favorite part, passions, right? So I know you're very involved in your church, you're in Rotary, I know you're involved in the Chamber of Commerce, but what motivates you?
You know, I love I love service. First of all, I'm very I consider myself a servant leader, and that's the thing that I don't want anybody that is employed by me to ever do something that I'm not willing to do myself. And I'll give this example. I was in a leadership class for Seminole County when I was at the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. And I was in a leadership class, and we were in a class of like 30, and there was one trash can. So by noon, it was filled up. Well, I'm never above taking out the trash, because that's servants. That's being a servant. I'm willing to do that for those people so that we could have a clean trash can for the last half of the class. So, it's those type things that make me different than a lot of, again, I don't consider myself a politician at all. I'm a public servant. I just want to continue my public service. So one of the things, let me tell you a little bit about my Rotary Club. I'm a part of the Rotary Club in DeLand, and one of our responsibilities is putting the flags out on Woodland Boulevard for every holiday that we have that requires a flag. And that is one of the things that I look forward to every time, because I love doing that. I love walking up and down the boulevard and putting up American flags. So I thought that was really cool that happened before I was a part of that Rotary Club. And then when I became a part of the Rotary Club and found out that they were the ones that were responsible for that, I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely me right there. I'm going to be doing that one as much as I can possibly do that. So it's just that type of thing that, I've always considered myself a servant leader. I'm never above anything trying to get the job done. We've got to have somebody in this position trying to do that, because we can't have somebody at the top just saying, yeah, you go do this, you go do that, and not knowing the things that go on in the office. So yeah, I'm just passionate about service. My family, I love spending time with my family and my friends, and it's a great thing. And, I try to serve them as well.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time today. Is there anything else that you'd like to let my friends and our Facebook followers know that I haven't asked you?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. And I want to say thank you very much for having me. It was an honor and privilege to be a part of this. You're doing a great job. I enjoy watching these videos. So I'm definitely for you. You're doing a great job. I love it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We just rebranded the show to Beneath the Surface. I felt like this was really turning out as really an opportunity to really share people's passions, to get to know people better. So it makes sense to have one of our candidates on. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be open, honest, and transparent here. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Say hi to your wife and your kids. And I realize, when you're on the campaign trail, you're on the campaign trail till it's done. But I know that it is a lot of work. So I realize, come 6 o'clock, you're probably just wanting to have some time with your family. So I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye, friends. We'll see you next Tuesday.
All right.